All right, welcome to the Parish Porch. Today we have Commander Bates, a retired Navy officer who could have moved anywhere in the world, but he chose to come to Ascension Parish and teach in our local schools. So we're going to hear his story. We're going to hear what's going on with the ROTC community, the value that that program is bringing to the children in our community. This is really good program and information. I'm just excited to share with you what is going on because these kids are getting a first class mentorship through the ROTC program. Now, on the 25th of July, which is Friday coming up, we will be out with the Parish Porch at Lowe's. So shout out to Lowe's for inviting us to come to Lowe's. We're going to be in the parking lot. We're going to have a tent set up out there. If you come by our tent for the Parish Porch, you will be able to join a raffle and you'll be able to meet us. If you want to be a guest on the show in the future, we're going to be talking. We can sign up sponsors. If you maybe consider sponsoring the show, we're going to be raffling off some really cool items from local businesses on the 25th at Lowe's in Gonzales. Now, please subscribe. Why? Because we're growing. We're growing, and we want you to grow with us. We're going to interview all of the people in the community that we can get to who are doing things that are in the act of service to our community because I want to spread that good news. And I want people to hear about how amazing some of these people like Commander Bates is to have in our community. So let's do it. All right, Commander Bates, thank you so much for joining us today, hopping on the porch to tell your story. You are a hero to me here in our community, doing great things at the ROTC at Amant High School. And you are a retired United States Navy officer. And so thank you for your service. We appreciate you. And you grew up not too far from here, is that right?
That's right. Yeah. First off, thanks for having me on. Thanks for bringing me to the show. Real excited to share about our program and what we have to offer. But yeah, that's correct. I grew up in Louisiana. Originally, I lived in Metairie for most of my life, and my parents wanted to move us to the North Shore to get us kind of out of that environment. And so my last 2 years of high school was at Covington High, about an hour away, and went to Covington for 2 years, and then I joined the Navy right out of high school, and that was back in 1996. So I served for 27 years.
Wow, 1996. Okay. So that was 1 year after I graduated. So we're almost the same age. And were you recruited heavily or were you in an ROTC program or in some other sort of program that pulled you into the Navy or how did that transpire?
So actually, when I arrived in Covington High, I learned about the ROTC program, and I joined. And it was a pivotal moment in my life where I decided that there was something about these students in ROTC, the cadets, that they just seemed mature. They knew what they wanted to do. Uh, Maybe from a high school perspective, you may think, oh man, these kids are kind of geeky or nerdy. They're wearing these uniforms, as something that some kids are really they hesitate to get into the program. But for some reason, I just had a mature outlook at that time, saying, you know what, I need to go this route. I think it's gonna be the right thing, and it did turn out to be a great route for me. And as far as recruiting goes, actually, my cousin, we have a Navy family, so my cousin recruited me and my brother. He was a quartermaster. He served about 6 years. Recruited my. I was the one that was first interested, and then my brother said he wanted to join as well. And he was older than me, so he actually joined before I did, and he's retired as well. So my brother retired as a master chief, and I retired as a lieutenant commander. Kind of very similar routes, though.
Wow. Again, thank you and your family tremendously for your service. Because remind me, in 1996, we were in Afghanistan, right? As a country.
In
Or
'96,
we had invaded Iraq by then.
yeah,
Where
at
were
this
we at? Where were we at as a country in 1996 when you joined? What was going on?
Honestly, when I joined, I was completely unaware of anything that was going on at the time. I don't think I really gained awareness until September 11th,
Oh, wow.
and that's when I was on a ship. We were scheduled to get underway for 3 weeks, and then the ship was pulling all the hotel services away, disconnecting the CHT, the electricity, the cable, we saw the planes hit the towers, and our CO came aboard and said, "Hey, planes just hit the World Trade Center. We're getting underway. We're going to go do something about it, pretty much." And then we went up to New York. We went to Jersey, did a major unloaded all our weapons, and they wound up staying underway for a few months, and really not prepared for a few months underway out at sea. But we were doing this thing called Operation Picket Fence, where all these ships were along the coast defending the United States from what we didn't know what was going to happen. So that's probably when I started to get some. Again, I'm just a knucklehead high school student. I was not at all interested in politics or the news or anything like that. And then I think at that point I started kind of paying attention.
I know we were in Iraq, right? Because Desert Storm had happened, and that was like, I mean, good Lord, audience members, I am going straight off of memory here, and I'm trying to remember, like, okay, where was I at? What was I doing? What was on the radio at the time? Like, that's what I'm doing right now. So, but I do remember, we there that was like the big talk about either cruise missiles or Patriot missiles back at that time. And so there were things going on in 1996 that in Iraq for sure. And so then you, where did you go to basic training?
Great Lakes. So by the time I joined, the Navy only had one, and still does only have one location for basic training. It's Great Lakes, Illinois. There used to be one, I'd say probably about 94 or so. They had one in Pensacola as well, but that doesn't exist anymore.
You left Covington High, you went out into the big world, and you made a career out of it. And so just to kind of highlight some of maybe what the Navy gave you as far as experiences. I mean, share with us maybe some of your favorite places you got to visit and things you got to see along the way.
Okay, yeah. So when I first joined, I really did not join and to travel, and I didn't join to live in other locations outside the United States or anything. That was not what I was trying to do, but it wound up being probably the best thing about being in the military. The thing I enjoyed most was travel. My very first port visit ever, I pulled into Marseille, France, and that was just kind of just surreal. I was walking around in France, never thinking I would ever do something like that. And then I think my second or third port visit, we pulled into Toulon, and that's where I actually met my wife. Was in Toulon, France, and she's from Minnesota, which is kind of a whole nother story there.
Wow.
But we so that first deployment was left quite an impression on me because I actually got to see so many things. I went to the Colosseum in Rome. I went to the Sistine Chapel. I went to the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Went swimming in the Dead Sea. We just so many things that you never would imagine you'd be able to do. And then coming back now, then I started developing appreciation for travel and just seeing things outside the U.S. That's why I try to encourage. I try to share with my students, like, hey, you really don't know what you don't know. So when we did our first field trip when I arrived here, went to Mobile, Alabama, and these kids, we were pulling up to the USS Alabama as a battleship in Mobile, and some of these kids never left Louisiana, and their eyes were just lit up, just seeing. I mean, we're only talking a few hours away, and I mean, I was thinking about my first time going to New York City and just just walking around with my head completely up in the air, looking at these towers that I just can't believe men built these things. Like this is insane. And I just calling home, like telling my family, you have to come see this. You have to come see New York City. You have to come see these things. And since then, I've been everywhere. I've been to Dubai. I've been to Thailand. I've been to Japan. I've lived in Japan. I've lived in Hawaii. I've what was it, Singapore. I've been all the South America, Cartagena, Colombia.
How
Uh,
long did you guys live in Japan?
we were there for 4 years, and
Yeah.
that was actually something we had no desire to do, to go to Asia. So once we went overseas to Europe, we kind of got the bug for Europe. We want to go to Europe. We want to go live in Europe. There's some billets over in Spain and Germany that we've really desired to go to. But in the Navy, you have a person called your detail who tells you where you're going to go, where your orders are to go. And there was a big need to go to Sasebo, Japan. And so reluctantly, we were like, okay, we'll go. And it turned out to be the best place that we've ever been. So even
Wow.
we love Japan more than we even love Hawaii. We lived in Hawaii for 5 years, and
Really?
and Japan just is an amazing place.
Yeah. Yeah. So I hear that a lot about Japan. I and just to get the record straight, your wife has always been a civilian through this process.
Yes.
Okay. And so something you said earlier, I want to go back to because it strikes me as it just impacts me. I don't know how, but it impacts me emotionally when I see children in 11th grade know what they want to do, know where they want to go, know their next step, right? Because me and my friends, none of us knew that. Maybe
Yeah.
me above all. I guess I can't, but nah, I mean, some of them, I mean, we didn't know. We had no kind of clarity, no kind of next steps. 11th grade was just like, how big are the parties going to be when we're seniors? I mean, that was it. I mean, it was no real plan. So I'm impressed, you know? And what would you attribute that to? Both tie it to your life first, but then as you see these kids that you're a part of their lives, what's the difference? Because I mean, are there still the knuckleheads in school like I was who barely got out, who was I mean, I was basically kicked out my senior year and then they let me graduate. But what's the difference? What's going on?
Yeah, I think it's the thing that worked for me, which I also see today, is is I think what ROTC is helping these students with is making a connection to what their potential is, and how to obtain that how to reach that potential. Where most so there's a lot of cliques in high school. You got your always was, always will be. You have your jocks, you have your guys who just kind of off drifting, whatever, doing whatever they will, and then a lot of that stems from, I think, the support they're getting at home. And so like if you have a really affluent family who's very engaged with their kids, they play catch with their kids all the time. They take them all the games. They have a lot of desires to see their kids succeed. Then those kids, they become what known as great baseball players or great football players or great anything. Like they're growing in greatness. And from a kid like me, who I would say is more like a latchkey kid, who just, my parents are working, my parents are not playing catch with me. They're not. They're just paying the bills, and they're kind of. I'm kind of raising myself a little bit, and so from my perspective, growing up, I just assumed that some kids are just good at some things, and some kids are not good at some things, or you just have a thing, you're just like good or you're not. And then and it wasn't until I was in ROTC where I started doing drill and competitive drill, and that's where you use rifles. You're kind of doing this exhibition, spinning rifles, and it's quite difficult. I mean, you're talking about a 10-pound rifle that you're throwing around, and you're doing it smartly, and you're doing it perfectly, and you compete to win. And the thing that's nice about that is everybody is on the same baseline playing field because nobody grows up learning how to spin a rifle. That's not You don't do that at home, right? So it's something that's unique. And then where we make the connection is if you apply yourself and you practice and you put time in and discipline, you can be successful in this, and you could actually do better than other people because of your discipline, because you're tried. And it's not just drill. That was the connection for me. But we do other things like marksmanship, orienteering, brain brawl, Raider, different programs where we find like some make a connection with a student who may never knew they had a talent or a skill and discover that they do, and then discover there's a way to develop yourself and to be successful, and then take them outside the classroom to college campuses, to other organizations, and say, here's a mentor type person who did what you're trying to do now they have the connection of, one, I have potential; two, here's how I hone my potential; and then three, there's my goal of somebody who did it already, right? And I think that's where they get that clarity, because most students, they're just going on hearsay what their friends say, like, oh yeah, he's good at that, I'm good at this, it just is what it is, and nobody's taken the time to really make those connections for them.
It reminds me of some of the mentorship programs that I've paid for and been a part of through my real estate investing journey and other business ventures. Almost like a real mentorship. You know, what you're describing sounds a lot like a mentorship program. Uh, and so I can see how a student who was lost, you know, maybe in eighth grade, ninth grade, they get into an ROTC program. They all of a sudden have a little bit of discipline, which is going to inspire some value, some self-worth. All of a sudden, they get to dress in a nice uniform. They get to drill with their classmates. And all of a sudden, it's like, okay, I got a group here I can affiliate myself with. And oh, by the way, I'm really good at orienteering, or I'm really good at spinning the rifle or marksmanship. I'm good at the drills. And so I get a little bit of success because you're putting them into these competitions. It's not just like, am I good at it? Let me judge myself. It's like, let me judge against my peers at the other schools.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're getting to go as a kid see these other campuses because you guys have been a lot to LSU. You've been to what, the University of Alabama? What other ones? So you've gone to, so these kids who have never left, you know, Ascension Parish has gotten out and they're going to have the ability to go see, oh, wow, I could go to school here in a couple years. Look how cool this is. Look at this big commons area with these restaurants I could go to lunch at every day. But, you know, all this stuff that they probably could not even possibly imagine. And so I see, okay, I see the connection. And then uh, maybe even if they don't have the best home environment, this can provide the right kind of structure, the right kind of discipline, the right kind of incentive at such a crucial time, right? That
Mm-hmm.
that this can really catapult them from, you know, maybe a life that was going to go down the hill and instead get them going up the hill and in the right direction. Um, and so you were living in Hawaii before you came here, is that right?
No, I was actually in Japan before here, but before that, I was in
Oh,
Hawaii.
okay, so
Before
it
that,
was
I was in Hawaii.
Hawaii, then Japan. And so you didn't have to come back to Louisiana. So tell us what happened. Why did you choose that? Why did you choose Sanoma as a high school to come be the commander of this program?
Right. So I guess my first choice was was not really my location, but just the job to be an ROTC instructor. So it's not, I don't think it's very common for people to retire and become ROTC instructors. There's certainly some jobs out there where I could probably make a little bit more money and in a maybe a different location. There's one example. There was a combat system support engineer job in Hawaii I could have went to, and that would have been put me back in Hawaii. Ideal, just a great place to live. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. I was actually there was an ROTC unit in Japan, right where I was at E.J. King High School, and I started talking to the instructors over there and said, "Hey, I did ROTC in high school. I'm thinking about doing this, and then can you tell me about it?" And then I went and did a couple inspections with their students. I did a little assistant coaching with the baseball team over there, and then just was started confirming like, yeah, I like this. I do like mentoring kids. I do like helping them out, and I do see the potential what I can do. And then it came to location, and so my wife's from Minnesota. We looked at that. My family's from Louisiana. We were considering that. We considered going back to Hawaii. We were kind of all over the map, and it was not an easy call to say where to go. But we're looking at real estate. Where's a good place to live? And the thing that really pushed us over the edge is, again, I'm from Covington, but I'm not familiar with Ascension Parish. I don't think I probably came to Baton Rouge once in my whole life. But we started looking at Ascension Parish schools and how highly rated they were. Like nationwide, Ascension Parish it was really shocking for a Louisiana school to be that highly rated. So Dutchtown, Santa Ma, they were really popping out. And I was like, I really want to get my kids into this school because up to now, my kids have been in DOD schools, which are essentially private schools, and I don't know if they're going to be able to handle the public school environment. That like I grew up in that environment. I don't think my kids can have. They're kind of sheltered, being Navy brats traveling around DOD schools. So we're thinking, okay, what's this new life going to be when we get out? We're going to go straight into some public school. My kids are they're not going to know what to do. They're not street smart. They're not going to
Yeah. No,
deal with it.
I understand what you're saying. And when you were talking about the Ascension Parish schools being ranked so high, like, do you mean they were popping up in different types of searches, different types of rankings?
No, if you look at you can see schools are nationally ranked, and at the time, I think Santa Ma was ranked between 1,800 or 2,000 in the nation out of about 14 or 15,000 schools. Just ranked school rankings so they cover academics, diversity, just different. I don't know what kind of scale they use, but there's a standard scale you look at schools up on that, and that's what my wife and I were looking at. The Florida schools rank pretty low, pretty across the board, and Louisiana is not very high either. So by state, more commonly, northern states like Minnesota
Yeah.
are going to have some really high rankings in
Well,
schools.
for some reason, this district is high.
Yeah, it's like a diamond in the rough. I was very high. I mean,
Okay.
the Ascension Parish is beating out Minnesota schools. They're beating so many. It's really impressive. So
Well,
I
let's
wanted
give
to.
a shout out to our Ascension Parish School Board, who I know a lot of the members, and I also know a lot of the principals at these schools. A lot of them I went to high school with at this point are running the schools. And I've got some distant family and also people I went to high school with in the school board. So we'll shout out to them for doing a good job, and maybe even we can credit getting a quality person in our community like yourself as a result of having good schools. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so keep going with that. And so you looked at the schools and the real estate pricing was kind of reasonable. Was that where you're going? And it was like, and my
Right.
kids could come here and probably reasonably fit in. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I do love, as far as public schools, I do have a strong appreciation for public schools because they offer more, because you're going to have I mean, typically you're going to have a legit baseball team, swim team, football team, everything, all the programs are offered where private schools won't have that. And then plus you also pay for private schools. So just for a practical sense, to go to a public school with all those offerings and a highly rated public school, it seemed like a smart move for our family. And then when we got here, then we started to see why. Like, why is it rated so high? And I think it's what's really obvious from an outsider. So I'm an outsider from Ascension Parish.
Sure.
It's the community support, because if you ever go to any type of event in here at the Gold Dome at Amant High School, you go into it's every family's there. They are supporting their high school kid. They are. This is where the life. This is where the life is in town. It's at this high school, and you can see that community just loves it. Whenever we do an ROTC event, families come out, they support their kids, and they just love it. So I think that really contributes to having that high rated school.
Yeah. And so then lead us down the path of some of the things that people don't know that the local ROTC has implemented. Like, give us some compare and contrast. Like, what was going on in the local ROTC program? How does the ROTC program even work as far as like, are you connected with, Dutchtown, Prairieville, East Ascension, or are you like you're standing on island? Is there any kind of sharing of resources? Explain that first.
Okay, so we have two. We basically report for two organizations. One, we have the Navy. And the Navy provides funding for a lot of our travel, our uniforms, our instructor salaries, half of our instructor salaries, and then the school board pays the other half of the instructor salaries. Um, and the way they group the schools, we have these things called area managers, and they run about 30 schools each. So our area manager is Area 16, which used to be Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida, or a portion of Florida. And then we just redistricted. So now we no longer are part of Florida, but we picked up Arkansas and Tennessee, I believe. So now that we're in a different zone, we compete with different schools. So as a Area 16 with Florida, we were actually with the top school in the nation, which is Pace High School in Florida. They were the top ROTC unit, and we've been trying to follow their lead and understand how they do things, and call in the instructors, taking notes about how they run their business, and it really has become effective. Not just Pace, but other schools. We have a very successful Walker High School is a Marine Corps ROTC. They Jason Tubbs, Colonel Tubbs, he's mentored us as well, telling us how he does things. So a lot of networking with instructors and seeing how they do things makes a difference.
So are all the ROTC units in Ascension Parish Navy? No?
No, no. So like I said, Walker's Marine Corps. For Navy, it's going to be us and Dutchtown, and then
Okay.
East Ascension's is affiliated with us, and Prairieville is affiliated with Dutchtown. So those four are Navy ROTC units.
Okay. Okay. And so then you came along and there was a program that was there, right? And then you dove right in. I've been told you dove right in and started implementing a lot of changes. The kids love everything that's happening. So, so what kind of changes were you able to implement? And then what do you see like as what's the potential in the future?
Right. So this school has San Amant High School has a very strong legacy for ROTC. They're a known school for drill. They've always been competitive drill. If you ever come in our classrooms, we've got trophies all over the place for winning at drill competitions. So our predecessor was Philip Daly, top. His name he goes by Top, but he's a retired Marine Corps. He started this program 23 years ago. Him and Captain Beaver, they established the program, and they had built a very strong foundation for us. When we got here, like all the bones were in place, and they were very strong on drill. And then when we started meeting with other instructors, we do this thing called an in-service training once a year where all the Area 16 instructors get together and they share what they do. So I went to my first in-service training. I think I was about 2 weeks on the job. I go to in-service training, and I'm hearing from other instructors from Alabama, Florida, and they're telling me about these programs I never heard of, like orienteering, and they're trying to solicit other people to participate. So I just asked, like, what is orienteering? How does that work? And it's actually, his name is Lieutenant Commander Frank Starr. And he said,
Explain what it is for the audience. What is orienteering? What is it?
so orienteering is a land navigation race. So what we'll do is, one of the biggest races of the year is in Alabama. They have about 30 high schools, so about 300 racers, 300 students, uh, and they have different types of courses in the woods, right? So we'll go to Blakely State Park, and they'll get a map and a compass and a camelback just to hydrate, and they'll have either a varsity level course. Varsity level course is about a 5K, but that's if you were to perfectly efficiently run a 5K. That's the course. That would be a 5K, but there's no such thing as that in orienteering. So you're essentially running like a 7K probably, because you're kind of exploring, trying to find locations, and then there's a varsity level, then there's a junior varsity. If you have two people or two teams per school, so a 4-man varsity team and a 4-man junior varsity team, they run the race individually. You don't run as a team. You run at your own time. Then you add up all the times together, and whoever has the lowest time wins the race, right? So it takes some skill, some reading maps, land navigation, using a compass, and moving fast. And it takes a lot of endurance to move, to run a 7K while thinking and navigating and figure out where to go.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. You'd have to med vac me out of there. I could, um, all right. So you're bringing all these new programs in because you're networking, and you have it sounds like a real passion for it and a real passion for mentoring. And then what else are you guys bringing as a group to the community at large? I know I went to the Holy Rosary Fair. I saw your group out there directing traffic. What kind of things are you guys doing as far as the community giving back and just being a part of the community?
We're always looking for opportunities. We do have a very busy schedule. So last year we started with 75 events planned before the year even started, and that grew to probably about 85, 90 events. So it's I'd say almost every single weekend we're out there doing something, whether it's a competition or some type of community service event. Holy Rosary is one of those events that's been in place for a very long time. We do the parking over at Holy Rosary. It's a good the kids love it. They just love parking cars. It's just one opportunity for kids to meet each other, work together. The other thing we do more commonly is football games. We'll provide the color, or actually any major athletic event for the school. We'll provide a color guard. So we'll do one for the Santa Ma and one for East Ascension, a color guard over there. We also do the Gator head. So we put the Gator head up before the game starts. That's a weekend. And again, when they first asked to do that, we thought it was going to be difficult to get enough kids to put the Gator head up, but it turned out they love it. They just want to come. They just want to do another event. Then we started getting to other things like Habitat for Humanity. We went and we helped build a couple of houses over in Baton Rouge. We also work with dog training. This was something we just started last year. We worked with the Amant River Retrieval Club. So they actually train retrievers for retrieving ducks, and they have these duck launching things called wingers, and the wingers are basically a catapult that launches a duck. So our students will go out there and they'll operate the wingers and a duck call and work on certifying hunting dogs. So that was last year, and now we're working with the Pontchartrain Kennel Club. We got an event coming up in August. We're gonna do a certification event for them as well. And it just keeps growing, so we get a phone call. We also do color guard events for just Veterans Week There's just so many random places we're going to do color guard. We did there was a garden club. What was the name of the garden? I think it was the Gonzalez Garden Club. We did it for them. Some of the chemical plants, we got to do some color guard for them. It's just one problem we do have is we never say no. So somebody,
Yeah. Explain to people what is the color guard.
so a color guard is it's a military formation of four people. You have the United States flag, a person holding the United States flag, and that's the color guard commander. And then you have a state flag, which is right next to him, and then you have two riflemen, one on each side. And so anytime you'll see it at a typical, baseball game or something where they're singing the national anthem, or they'll play that and they'll bring the color guard out. So it's always the start of any major event. You should have, if you're having a major event, you should have a color guard out there. And in every one of our events, we of course bring our own color guard to that. And it's it's a reminder of patriotism and just dialing everybody back in. What are we doing here? We're celebrating freedom, and just and the kids have the pleasure of actually being right in the center of that.
Yeah, man, it's so good. It's just such a good vibe. They're all around. And, if you're out there and listening in the audience and think your kid might benefit from this, and if they're still too young, maybe start thinking about how you could um, get them involved to come see the color guard and start to plant that seed. If you're interested. But I tell you what, it's making a difference in our schools and in our community. No, I hear about ROTC all the time now, in community when I'm out and when I'm doing things. So we hear about what's going on, and it's making an impact in the kids' lives. It's making a difference in our community. How could you ask for a better leader of our local ROTC here than Commander Bates? You're doing a great job. I hear the kids love you, and we appreciate you. Give us a little bit of the future. What can we look forward to, let's say over the next couple of years? Like, what's some of your big goals?
So we're trying again to get where pace is at. One is continue to just foster a good environment where people want to come to. I think that was the big first step, is changing the environment. And so we're always pushing on our students whenever our leaders, our student leader, we teach them to be servant leaders. So if we have new students show up, we want to see our student leaders problem solving for them, like solving their issues. Like if they can't get a ride, what are we doing to help them out? Um, and I think that's where the program's transformed a little bit. It's much more servant leadership. And then once we have that environment, as we grow that environment, we want to get more competitive. So the more competitive you are, then there's more events, because now you're going to national competitions. So we're trying to get to that pace level. And we do so by making incentives and smaller goals and different types of things. So one thing we did last year is I had an incentive for the marksmanship. So to be competitive on the national stage for marksmanship, one, it's a 3-position shoot. You have to shoot the max you can possibly shoot in 3 positions. That's prone, standing, kneeling. The max you can possibly shoot is a perfect score would be 300. In sporter class, it's literally impossible. You can't shoot a 300. But to nationally competitive, you shoot at about a 265, 270. Probably 270 is really super competitive. And last year, our best shooter shot at 210. That was the very best shooter we had. Actually, the year before, going into last summer, or coming out of last summer, was 210. So I made an incentive. I said, all right, if you can shoot a 240, I will paint a custom painted rifle for you, and you can, whatever color you want, you put your name on it. All these, however you want it, that rifle. And when you go into our armory, we have 34 rifles in our armory. If you go in there, nobody's allowed to touch that rifle except for you, because you hit that 240 mark. So last year we had 5 students hit 240.
Oh, wow. From 210 from your best shooter to
Yeah.
five at 240, just because now maybe we can put a picture up of what some of these rifles look like. It's not just like you're painting them black or blue, right? You're a
Right.
trained so tell us how did you learn how to paint and kind of give us a little bit of a visual.
So the latest one I painted was it was a Blue Angels theme rifle, and it looks, if you ever look like at a Blue Angels F-18, it looks exactly like that.
Now, how
And it
did you
was
learn how to do that?
so when it was my second job in the Navy. I enlisted, so I did a lot of enlisted work, a lot of work on my hands. So I used to work when I was at this place called the Shore Intermediates Maintenance Active. We did repair for ships in Mayport, Florida, and I worked at a paint shop where we would take radomes, antenna radars off of ships, and we'd sand them down, remove any moisture in them, do fiberglass repair, prime, paint, coat. It was a legit paint booth. I mean, it was professional painting. So I did that for a few years, and it's just something I've had in my back pocket over the years. So when I got here, it's just like a good opportunity. I was like, I could paint these rifles, make them look nice, and
Yeah, we'd like to see it. I'd like to put it in the show notes and be able to bring it up for sure. If you'll send us a picture, we'd like to do that. So you're incentivizing the kids. They've got, I mean, this program sounds just amazing. I mean, as a parent, it's like this is what every parent dreams of. So hats off to you and a salute to you and your family. And I would be maybe remiss if I didn't also give a little bit of homage to my grandfather, who was also a United States Navy veteran, served in Korea, and his brother died in Pearl Harbor uh, in the Navy uh, in that bombing of Pearl Harbor. So we uh, we appreciate our veterans and both the ones who are still with us and the ones who are gone to prop up our freedom and for um, cultivating a new group and with some of these great values that you're bringing to the table, really fantastic values. I mean, they want their teenager to have some discipline, have some self-worth and value, have a dream, have some goals, and sure, an argument can be made against, yeah, well, yeah, but you're going into the military. Yeah, I hear you, and I mean, I can hear that argument, but uh, kids are lost. Kids are lost. It's worse than when I was a kid. It's even worse. These kids are a lot of just hollow shells, with all of the social media addictions, the phone addictions, the gaming addictions, all of the things, man. It's just like this is such a good thing for a person who has, because you could have just hung your hat and propped your feet up and been at the beach with a Mai Tai, and but you decided to continue to serve. Really, we appreciate you. Our community appreciates you. I know our community appreciates you. So thank you. And is there anything that you want to cover or anything else you want to say that we haven't gotten to?
well, one thing is we don't really push students towards the military, even though it's very much, there's a lot of military focus and military structure, but there is no expectation that if you join this program that you should join the military. We want to help you use what use our methods or our to help you in whatever walk in life you want to do. And no, I don't care if you go in the Navy, the Army, become an insurance salesman, whatever is right for you. That's what our focus is, just unlocking that potential. And I would say most students do not join the military. Maybe a small percentage are actually joining.
I'm
So
glad you made that point. That's a good point. Because I, I had known that, but I had forgot, and I was thinking that most of these kids are going into the military, but actually, it's just taking that structure and that program and just applying it to where they are, and most of them are go on a different path, but they get this good discipline at a young age and other attributes of the program.
Yeah, if I could just say one other thing is,
Go ahead.
yeah, one thing I didn't mention today is my partner. I work with Commander Micah Coletico, so we have we're complete very different personalities. So I enlisted. He actually got his degree, went up. He's an engineer. Uh, Different focus, different aspects of. I mean, as far as helping students, we have both sides of the picture here. You know, I'm more the blue collar, work your way up through the ranks kind of guy, and then he got that engineering mind and perspective, and together, I think having him and us working together is really making a huge difference with these kids.
Yeah, so I could see that. So a shout out to Commander Coletico over there, holding down the barn because it sounds like he might be the organizer and you might be you might be the guy who opens the doors and let the horses run wild.
That's right.
Yeah. So listen, we appreciate you so much, and we're gonna wrap it up with that. And I just again want to invite everyone to please stop what you're doing, click like, click follow, click subscribe. This is a journey with the Parish Porch to learn about the people in our community who is serving our community, who is making changes, who is bringing the quality characteristics and character and programs, all the things that you heard about today. We're going from the schools, we're going into businesses, we're going across the spectrum with this podcast to learn and discover who's making a difference and see how we can also contribute, be a part of that. Any last words, Commander Bates?
No, thanks again for having me on. Thank you for this show. This is a great thing. I'm going to share this with my family. We'll be watching you as well.
Yes, sir. All right. And with that, jump on the porch, raise your voice, speak up. As my grandfather said, use it or lose it.